When your avoidant X finally reaches out, the first and most critical thing you must understand is that your emotional state at that very moment will define everything that follows. It's not the words you type. It's not even the timing of your response. It's the energy you are holding inside your being. It's the invisible but powerful field of emotion that will either empower you or sabotage you. If you respond while your emotions are chaotic, desperate, anxious, or longing for validation, you will not be answering them. You will be reacting from your wounds, and when you react from wounds, you recreate pain. You must seize control of your internal world first, because that is where real power is. That is where real choices are made. Understand that emotions are vibrations. They carry weight. They carry a message. When you are filled with fear, loss, anger, or hope that clings too tightly, your message to the world, even in silence, is, I am uncertain, I am unstable, I need something outside of myself to feel secure. If you allow yourself to move from that emotional space, you are no longer responding to a person. You are responding to the unmet needs that were buried inside you long before that person even existed in your story. You cannot let old wounds drive present decisions. You cannot let memories of comfort, or hopes of reconciliation, or fear of loneliness dictate what you say and do next. You must take back the steering wheel of your emotional vehicle. The greatest power you have is the power to pause. It is the power to say, wait. Before I move, I must first find my center again. That pause separates the person who is reactive from the person who is responsive. That pause is where self-respect is born. That pause is where clarity emerges like the sun after a storm. Without that pause, you are no different from a puppet pulled by unseen strings, living at the mercy of emotional flashes. But with that pause, you step into mastery, you step into freedom, you step into conscious creation of your reality. You must realize that when your avoidant X reaches out, the temptation to immediately answer is going to hit you like a wave. It will whisper in your mind, maybe this is the moment everything changes, maybe they miss me, maybe they realized my worth. And while some of that might be true, you must ask yourself, am I responding because I feel full and whole within myself? Or am I responding because I feel empty and I hope they will fill me again? That question is a door. That question reveals the truth of where you really are. If you feel a surge of panic, if you feel an overwhelming urgency, if you feel that your happiness depends on their message, then you must stop. You must breathe, you must remember who you are without them. It is easy to confuse longing with love. It is easy to mistake anxiety for intuition. But deep down, you know the difference. Deep down, you know whether your soul is calm or whether it is trembling. Wait until your soul is calm. Wait until you are steady. Wait until you could look them in the eye and know that even if they vanish again, even if they fail you again, even if they offer nothing but confusion, you will still be all right. That is the emotional position from which you must respond. Anything less will cost you more than you realize. Emotions are not meant to control you. They are meant to inform you. They are signals, not commands. When you feel desperate, it is a signal that you are disconnected from your inner worth. When you feel anxious, it is a signal that you are trying to control what is not in your control. When you feel sad, it is a signal that you are honoring something that mattered to you. These signals deserve to be heard, but they do not deserve to be obeyed blindly. You must become the conscious interpreter of your emotions, not their prisoner. The truth is, the outcome you desire, whether it's reconciliation, closure, or simply peace, depends far less on what you say to them, and far more on the energy you are standing in when you say it. Energy speaks louder than words. If you are standing in dignity, confidence, and inner peace, even a simple message like "Hope you're well" carries a force behind it. If you are standing in desperation and fear, even the most carefully crafted words will fall flat, and you will feel the sting of imbalance once again. This is why it is so crucial to slow down, to gather yourself, to sit in the fullness of who you are before letting another person's attention rush you into motion. They may have delayed reaching out for days, weeks, months. So why would you allow their sudden action to pressure you into an immediate emotional reaction? You are not in a race. You are not in a contest to prove your worth. You are in a sacred relationship with yourself first. You are answering the world not with words, but with the way you feel about yourself in your own heart. Master that inner relationship, and no external message can destabilize you again. You have the right to take the time you need. You have the right to prioritize your peace over someone else's timeline. You have the right to not let a sudden message from the past hijack the life you are building now. Your emotions are powerful, but only when you choose to command them rather than collapse into them. When someone who was once emotionally distant or avoidant suddenly reaches out to you, it's natural for a surge of emotions to cloud your clarity. Memories flood in, the heart races with old hopes. It is easy to start romanticizing the connection, to imagine that maybe something has shifted, maybe they have changed, maybe they finally realized what they had in you. But before you allow yourself to be swept into a new story, you must anchor yourself back to reality. You must remember why they were avoidant in the first place. The human mind has a strange way of erasing pain when it craves comfort. It remembers the kisses, the laughter, the connection, but it conveniently forgets the cold silences, the unanswered messages, the confusing behaviors that left you questioning your worth. The avoidant ex you are hearing from now is the same person who once struggled to meet you emotionally. They are the same person who found it easier to pull away than to lean in, who chose distance over depth, who feared vulnerability more than they desired intimacy. These patterns are not illusions, they were real. They were lived, they were felt, they left marks inside of you, marks you must not ignore simply because loneliness whispers that any connection is better than none. Growth requires honesty, and honesty demands that you see clearly, not selectively. You must see the full picture, not just the pieces your heart misses. People can change, yes, but true change is not common, and it is never instant. It takes deep work, a level of self-awareness and willingness to confront one's deepest fears. Ask yourself honestly, has this person had the time, the experience, the reason to undergo that level of transformation? Or are they simply reaching out because they feel the absence of you, not because they have developed the capacity to truly hold you? Wanting you is not the same as being ready for you. Missing you is not the same as valuing you. Desire is easy, devotion is rare. You must not confuse the two, no matter how sweet their words sound in your ears. Emotional avoidance doesn't heal itself overnight. It's a deeply ingrained defense mechanism, often rooted in early experiences, shaped long before they ever met you. It's not about you, it never was. But that doesn't mean it didn't hurt you. That doesn't mean it won't hurt you again if you step back into the cycle without demanding a higher standard, starting with yourself. You must remember that you are not just choosing a moment, you are choosing the emotional environment you will live in tomorrow, next week, next year. If they were not safe for your heart then, why would you assume they are safe now without clear, consistent evidence? Not words, not promises, evidence. The danger of forgetting why they were avoidant is that it sets you up to repeat the same lessons you were meant to graduate from. Life brings tests back to you not to punish you, but to ask you one simple question: have you learned yet? If you move blindly back into the past without discernment, you are saying no to your own growth. You are telling the universe that you are willing to settle for fragments when you were designed for fullness. You are teaching yourself that the temporary comfort of familiar pain is more valuable than the unknown freedom of self-respect. You must be more loyal to your growth than you are to your nostalgia. There is no strength in holding onto the image of what someone could become while ignoring who they have already shown you they are. It is noble to believe in someone's potential, but it is wise to build your life around what is real, not what is imagined. Potential is a dangerous thing to fall in love with. It will have you sacrificing your standards, excusing your needs, explaining away your intuition. Remember the sleepless nights. Remember the emotional confusion. Remember the way you doubted yourself. Not to live in bitterness, not to cling to anger, but to stay awake, to stay alert, to stay loyal to the healing you fought so hard for. The avoidant behavior you once endured was not a fluke. It was a pattern. Patterns do not change through absence alone. They change through awareness, accountability, action, and time. You owe it to yourself to ask hard questions, even if you don't want to hear the answers. Have they acknowledged their patterns without being defensive? Have they demonstrated change over time, not just in moments of missing you? Have they done the internal work that relationships require, or are they simply looking for temporary relief from their loneliness? Your future depends on your ability to answer those questions honestly, without letting hope drown out wisdom. Do not betray yourself by pretending the past didn't happen. Do not gaslight yourself into minimizing what you felt. Your emotions were valid then, and they are valid now. You are not being harsh by remembering the truth. You are being responsible. You are standing guard over your own heart. You are practicing radical self-respect. You are honoring the version of yourself that cried when they pulled away, that doubted their worth, that questioned their place in someone's life. That version of you deserves protection, not abandonment. That version of you deserves to know that their pain was not meaningless, that it taught you what you will never again accept when the unexpected message comes in, when the name you thought you had buried under healing rises back onto your screen. Your body will want to react before your mind has a chance to think. The heart will leap, the adrenaline will spike, and old memories will come flooding back with an intensity that feels almost impossible to resist. Every fiber of your being will scream for you to respond immediately, to engage, to chase the feeling of validation that once seemed so out of reach. But wisdom is not found in reacting to impulses. Wisdom is found in mastering them. In that heated moment, you must become bigger than the surge of emotions trying to control you. There is immense power in the pause. The split second where you choose stillness over reaction is where your freedom lies. When you control your impulses, you control your future. Most people don't realize that their lives are not shaped by massive decisions alone, but by the small, seemingly insignificant moments when they either chose discipline or gave in to emotion. A single emotional response can reopen wounds that took months, even years, to heal. A single impulsive message can pull you back into a cycle you fought so hard to escape. Every time you respond impulsively, you hand over your power to the past. Every time you respond deliberately, you reclaim a piece of your future. Impulse thrives on immediacy. It tells you that if you don't act now, you will lose something precious. It tricks you into believing that your worth is tied to how quickly you are seen, heard, and acknowledged by another person. But you must remember, anything that requires you to abandon your peace is too expensive, no matter what it promises you in return. Impulses will try to convince you that silence means defeat, that waiting means weakness. But in reality, silence is strength, and patience is a demonstration of self-respect. You are not racing against anyone. You are not proving anything to anyone. You are standing firm within yourself. Controlling your impulses doesn't mean suppressing your emotions. It means observing them without becoming enslaved to them. It means creating space between what you feel and what you do. It means understanding that feelings are visitors, not masters. You can feel the rush of excitement, the pang of longing, the ache of nostalgia. and still choose not to act on them. You can witness the emotional storm inside of you and still choose calm action. The difference between people who repeat the same lessons and people who grow beyond them is this: the willingness to sit with uncomfortable emotions without letting those emotions dictate their behavior. Impulse control is not about coldness, it's about consciousness. It's about knowing that not every invitation to engage deserves your energy. Not every message requires a reply. Not every emotional stir needs to be validated through action. You have the right and the responsibility to protect your peace above all else. When you respond impulsively, you are reacting to someone else's timing. When you respond thoughtfully, you are operating on your own timing. One comes from neediness, the other comes from abundance. One says, "I need you to complete me." The other says, "I am complete, and I will choose what honors my growth." Your mind may try to rationalize immediate action. It may say things like, "What if they changed? What if this is my only chance?" But you must see through that illusion. Growth never demands urgency. True love, true healing, true connection, they don't rush. They are built slowly, brick by brick, with patience, with presence, with wisdom. If someone reaching out causes you to feel frantic, desperate, or pressured, that is not love calling you. That is old fear being triggered within you, and you owe it to yourself to not answer fear's call. When you control your impulses, you also send a powerful signal to your subconscious mind that you are no longer living at the mercy of others, that you trust yourself, that you are capable of holding space for discomfort without abandoning yourself. And as you continue to make these choices, moment by moment, you rewire your very identity. You stop being the person who reacts and start becoming the person who leads their own life with intention. You stop being the person who is tossed around by external events and start becoming the person who creates internal stability, no matter what chaos arises around you. Imagine the version of yourself you are trying to become. The version of yourself who lives with peace, clarity, and confidence. That version of you is not impulsive. That version of you knows the difference between urgent emotion and true intuition. That version of you chooses alignment over validation every single time. That version of you understands that just because someone shows up today doesn't erase all the days they didn't. Just because someone reaches out now doesn't mean they are ready to stay. And responding to them from a place of impulse only reaffirms the old dynamic where you gave more than you received. You must hold the vision of your higher self so clearly that no passing impulse can blur it. You must honor the future you desire by making disciplined choices today. Every moment you resist the urge to react, you are breaking the chains that once bound you. You are proving to yourself that you are no longer available for half measures, for confusion, for emotional roller coasters. You are no longer a participant in your own betrayal. You are the guardian of your peace, the protector of your growth, the master of your destiny. When the person you once loved circles back into your life, it can feel like the very thing you prayed for has finally arrived. The mind can quickly construct stories. Maybe this time will be different. Maybe they finally see your worth. Maybe now the love you offered will be honored and cherished. But you must be wise enough to understand that the real miracle is not their return. It is your healing. The real gift is not a second chance with someone who once hurt you, but a second chance at loving yourself deeper than you ever have before. Your energy must shift from longing for them to showing up for yourself. Every ounce of effort you once poured into them must now be poured into your own restoration. Healing is not passive. It is not simply waiting until the pain fades away. Healing is active. It is a commitment, a conscious decision to choose yourself over and over again, especially when the temptation to revert to old patterns appears at your doorstep. You cannot heal by revisiting the same environment that broke you. You cannot heal by reattaching to the same dynamic that left you questioning your worth. Healing requires new soil, a new atmosphere, a new alignment with your higher self. Healing demands that you rise even when your emotions beg you to stay seated in the comfort of the familiar. When you focus on your healing, you begin to see things as they are, not as you wish them to be. You see their return not as a validation of your value, but as a test of your growth. You recognize that their presence does not determine your worthiness. Your worth was never up for debate. It was never contingent on anyone's ability to recognize it. By focusing on your healing, you reclaim the narrative. You no longer stand at the doorway of someone else's choices, waiting to be picked. You realize that you were already chosen by life itself, by the universe, by the divine breath within you. Your healing journey becomes your priority, not their apology, not their explanations, not their sudden interest. Your energy becomes sacred territory, and not everyone gets access simply because they once held it. Healing is about becoming so anchored in yourself, love, so rooted in your self-respect, that the thought of abandoning yourself for temporary comfort no longer appeals to you. It becomes clear that no conversation, no text, no reunion is worth dismantling the inner peace you worked so hard to build. When you focus on your healing, you begin to invest in the parts of you that were neglected, not by others, but by yourself. You no longer wait for someone to bring you the joy you can create for yourself. You stop hoping someone else will fill the voids you have the power to fill. Healing teaches you that the home you were looking for was never in another person. It was always inside of you, waiting for your own attention, your own affection, your own care. You start to see that the real abandonment was not them leaving. It was you abandoning your own needs while trying to meet theirs. Your focus shifts from external validation to internal wholeness. You create boundaries not out of bitterness, but out of deep love for yourself. You spend time in reflection, not obsession. You seek lessons, not loops. You pursue peace, not drama. When you choose your healing, you stop living life as a reaction to others and start living it as an expression of your highest self. You move from survival mode to creation mode, from waiting to welcoming, from fear to freedom. Focusing on your healing also means honoring the timeline of your own growth. You do not rush yourself back into situations because the opportunity presents itself. You understand that just because something is available doesn't mean it is right for you. You trust that what is meant for your highest good will never require you to regress into old wounds to receive it. You become patient with your own process, knowing that true healing is not about perfection but about progress. Every day you choose yourself is a victory. Every moment you resist the old pull and choose a new response is a breakthrough. You learn to celebrate yourself for the healing you have already done, even if you are still in the middle of it. Healing is not linear, and it is not loud. Sometimes it looks like deleting a number. Sometimes it looks like staying silent when you want to explain yourself. Sometimes it looks like crying in the middle of the night, but still getting up the next morning and living your purpose. Every act of self-love, no matter how small, is a brick laid in the foundation of the new life you are building. Choosing your healing over their return is one of the most powerful acts of self-respect you can demonstrate. It is telling the universe and yourself that you believe you are worthy of more than recycled pain. It is telling your heart that it deserves to beat freely without fear of being broken again. It is telling your soul that it matters more than any external relationship ever could. It is stepping fully into your own light without needing someone else to validate your shine. It is choosing the long-term reward of peace over the short-term hit of emotional validation. Closure is often misunderstood. We imagine it as a conversation, a letter, an apology, something external that ties all the loose ends into a neat, understandable bow. We chase it because we believe it will finally grant us peace. But closure was never meant to come from outside of you. It was never meant to be dependent on another person's ability to explain themselves or confess their wrongs. True closure is an internal decision. It is you choosing to no longer tie your healing to someone else's acknowledgement. It is you stepping into your own authority and declaring that you are complete without needing anyone else to confirm it. When you detach from needing closure, you stop giving away your power. As long as you are waiting for someone to explain why they hurt you, why they left, why they acted the way they did, you are allowing your well-being to sit in their hands. You are tethering your forward movement to their willingness to be honest, and some people may never have the capacity to offer you the truth you seek. Some people may never see the harm they caused, and even if they do, they may not have the courage to admit it. If you make your healing contingent on their actions, you are setting yourself up for a lifetime of waiting. Closure, in its purest form, is you choosing to close the chapter because you value your peace more than your need for answers. It is realizing that sometimes there are no answers that will satisfy the ache inside you. Some things will never make sense when judged by the standards of love and integrity you live by, and that's okay. Their behavior does not have to make sense for you to let it go. You do not need to understand their reasons to forgive them and release the situation from your spirit. You do not need their cooperation to set yourself free. Creating closure within yourself means having a deep conversation with your own soul. It means allowing yourself to feel all the emotions that you suppressed while hoping things would be different. It means being radically honest about the disappointments, the betrayals, the unmet expectations. It means grieving the loss not just of the person, but of the dreams you had tied to them. It is mourning the future that will never come to pass, and it is doing so with compassion, not judgment. You were not foolish for loving. You were not weak for hoping. You were simply human. Detaching from needing closure from them is one of the highest forms of self-respect. It is standing firmly in the truth that you deserve to move forward even if they never give you the courtesy of an explanation. It is choosing to be the author of your own story rather than a character stuck in someone else's unfinished chapter. It is seeing that your life is too precious to be spent dissecting someone else's decisions. Your energy is too valuable to be wasted on trying to decode mixed signals and half-truths. Your heart is too sacred to be left in the waiting room of someone else's growth. The beauty of creating closure within yourself is that it is immediate. You do not have to wait another day. You do not have to wait for the perfect conversation or the right words to be said. You have the authority to decide that today is the day you release the need to know more. Today is the day you accept that some things are simply over, and that is enough. Closure is not a favor you beg for. It is a gift you give yourself. This kind of closure is empowering because it returns you to yourself. It reminds you that your healing is your responsibility and yours alone. It teaches you that real peace does not come from the outside. It comes from aligning with your own values, your own truth, your own self-worth. It shows you that you are not at the mercy of anyone else's honesty or maturity. You are free to walk away without bitterness, without resentment, without carrying the burden of their actions on your shoulders any longer. Creating closure within yourself also demands that you tell yourself a new story. Not a story of rejection, betrayal, or inadequacy, but a story of strength, resilience, and wisdom gained. You get to decide what this chapter means for you. You get to define the experience in a way that uplifts you rather than diminishes you. You get to transform the pain into purpose, the heartbreak into healing, the ending into a beginning. This is the sacred work of alchemy, turning what was meant to break you into the very thing that builds you. In the process of creating your own closure, you learn to trust yourself again. You learn to honor your intuition, to listen to the soft voice inside that nose when something is no longer meant for you. You stop second guessing yourself. You stop blaming yourself for someone else's inability to love you properly. You reclaim your dignity. You rebuild your confidence. You rediscover the wholeness that was never actually lost, only temporarily forgotten. When you detach from needing closure, you open the door to a life that is no longer defined by the past. You become available for new opportunities, for new love, for new experiences that align with the healed version of you. You create space in your heart for joy to enter again. You allow yourself to dream new dreams, to set new standards, to move forward with clarity and courage. You are no longer looking back for answers. You are looking ahead with purpose. You are not anchored to the pain. You are propelled by the possibilities. The mind is a magnificent tool, capable of creating visions beyond imagination, but it can also be a prison if we allow it to loop old memories that no longer serve us. Too many people become trapped reliving the past, rehashing old conversations, replaying moments where things went wrong, asking what if and why me on an endless cycle. They allow the energy of yesterday to poison their present and cloud their future. Yet the truth is, the past only has power over you if you keep giving it permission to sit in your thoughts. What happened cannot be undone, but your interpretation of it, your focus regarding it, and your decision about it are all within your control. Focusing on your future means making a conscious decision every single day to stop watering the memories that hurt you. It means pulling your attention away from what was lost and placing it firmly on what can be gained. It means recognizing that no matter how painful the past may have been, it is powerless to dictate your destiny unless you surrender that power to it. The future is blank, unwritten, and it belongs to those who are willing to believe in new beginnings more fiercely than they mourn old endings. It belongs to those who have the courage to take their hands off the doorknob of closed doors and instead walk forward into unknown but promising corridors. When you focus on your future, you align your mind with creation, not destruction. You begin to imagine possibilities instead of dwelling on regrets. You start asking different questions, not why did this happen to me, but what can I build from here? You move from victimhood to victory because you recognize that life is not happening to you, it is responding to you. Your dominant vibration, the mental pictures you feed yourself, the emotions you cultivate, all combine to form the substance of what is coming next. If you stay fixated on wounds and betrayals, you create more experiences that mirror pain. If you turn your gaze toward hope, growth, expansion, you pull into your reality opportunities that match those frequencies. Energy flows where attention goes. Every thought is an investment, and your returns are determined by the quality of your thoughts. Think about that. Every second you spend reimagining an argument, every minute you spend fantasizing about revenge or obsessing over their new life without you, you are investing precious, creative energy into something that brings no profit to your spirit. Meanwhile, that same energy could be building a new business, shaping a new body, creating new relationships, or nurturing your dreams. It's not just about forgetting the past. It's about reclaiming the life force you've been unknowingly giving away to it. Focusing on your future also demands a shift in identity. You are not the same person who went through that pain. You are not the version of yourself who was left, who was doubted, who was misunderstood. That person has evolved through the fire, through the tears, through the lessons. When you continue to identify as the wounded version of yourself, you remain tied to the past. But when you adopt the identity of the new, wiser, stronger version of yourself, you naturally start to align with experiences that match your higher frequency. You stop seeing yourself as someone who was hurt and start seeing yourself as someone who survived and thrived. To truly focus on your future, you must make peace with the fact that the past will never change. No matter how many times you analyze it, no matter how vividly you remember it, it will remain what it is. And that's okay. It does not have to be rewritten for you to move forward. It does not need to be justified for you to find happiness again. It can simply be what it was, a chapter in your story, not the whole story, not the end of the story, just one chapter that helped shape your growth. Another important aspect of focusing forward is surrounding yourself with energy that supports your direction. You cannot build a future on foundations of old heartbreak. You cannot erect skyscrapers of dreams on ground that is soaked with sorrow. Choose your environment wisely. Feed your mind with books, ideas, mentors, music, and communities that inspire your next level. Starve the sources that keep you tied to memories of who hurt you. Guard your vision as fiercely as a mother guards her newborn child. Speak only of where you are going, not where you have been. As you focus on your future, visualization becomes a sacred practice. Close your eyes daily and see yourself living the life you deserve. Picture the version of you who has already healed, already succeeded, already moved beyond what once broke you. Feel the emotions of that reality. Walk in the energy of that reality even before it physically materializes. Because the mind, when properly directed, does not distinguish between what is real and what is vividly imagined. The more you rehearse your desired future, the more inevitable it becomes. You must understand that every step you take toward your future builds momentum. Small decisions compound, tiny actions snowball. Each day that you invest in your future vision, you pull it closer. Each moment that you resist the urge to dwell on the past, you gain strength. Progress is not a sudden leap. It is a quiet, steady, faithful commitment to move forward even when nostalgia tries to pull you back. It is persistence in the face of memories, resilience in the face of longing, determination in the face of fear.